Critical Blast, where pop culture gets blasted.
I can't hear you, my friend. There's no sound. We lost sound. How are you? Can you hear me? You can hear me. That's so weird. Hold on a second. Let me see if it's something on my end. So
It'll be here. We take him out, we put him in, and that usually takes care of the problem. All right. So how about now?
I hear you now. Perfect.
Yeah, it's been something weird going on where, sometimes I'll have like 9 people up and one of them I can't hear or they can't hear me. I just take the people out, put them back in. It seems to refresh the connection. So I'm guessing that nobody probably heard the introduction. That's kind of always fun when people are coming in and it's a mime show.
I actually heard the introduction. I heard it. So I'm going to assume everybody else did.
Ah, well, good deal. So, Jason, you're working on a book called Hammer, and I already know in advance that it's Nordic in its origins. What made you? Well, first of all, let's talk about some of your comic book history, because this is not your first rodeo by any means, is it?
No, it's not. I've been around the block for a while, actually. My real name is Jason Jewett, and I started as Jason Jewett many years ago, back in '92. The two names are linked together, Jason Crager and Jason Jewett, so you can look up. Nobody's doxing me by like telling you my real name.
Okay.
I've used the name Jason Crager for, I don't know, 20 years, maybe a little longer. Sorry. And I did start in comics very young. I started right out of high school. I started at Harris Comics with a friend. He called me up. I had met him down the street at a local convention in Orange County called the Sequoia Club. And I ran into this random inker, and he really liked my art. I liked his. His name was Joe Weems. We changed numbers. One day he calls me up out of nowhere and is like, hey, I have a job at Harris now, and I need somebody to spot blacks for me on my pages while we, finish stuff up. While I try to finish stuff up on this deadline, because he was terribly late, apparently. And since it was his first rodeo, it was real work for me at that point. I didn't care if he was paying me or anything or my name was on it. I got to touch a real comic page. So I ran over there, and over the next 2 nights, I inked pages with Joe Weems on Vampirella. And
nice.
That's how my career started. It was really funny because shortly thereafter, he told his editor at the time that I had worked on them, and she had me send some stuff. And every once in a while, we would do some stuff, and Joe would ask me to come over to be an ink assistant on it. And it went on from Vampirella stuff to Chains of Chaos. And I think even at one point we bumped into Ethan Van Sciver during that time, but I don't remember in what vernacular. And then once the bubble burst, Harris went away. So shortly thereafter, Weems went to, I think, Top Cow. So whenever he'd do Top Cow stuff, he'd usually have a couple ink assists, and every once in a while I'd work on that stuff. But at some point I got noticed by Caliber Press, before they went under, and started working on some stuff for them. And Avatar reached out to me. So I told them, hey, I can't do this right now. I have to go do this for Avatar. So I went and did Avatar work. And then I went to Top Cow. So I've been around. I worked on Top Cow, I think issue 22 or 3 of The Darkness.
Okay.
And I did random stuff here and there, but shortly thereafter, Avatar reached out to me that they needed an art director. They kind of trusted me. I'd inked a bunch of Tim Vigil's work over some stuff. And they wanted me to come live out in Illinois and be their art director. So I moved out there and spent about a year and a half being their art director. And that's where the name Jason Crager began as I worked there. And I did quite a bit of stuff for them on top of lettering most of their books, formatting it for printing, most of the production stuff. I dealt with phone calls and artists and spoke to artists on a regular basis. And go ahead.
I did an interview with William Christensen about 20 years ago
Oh,
over issues with artists and writers. So I can imagine when you said you got a lot of phone calls from artists, I'm like, yeah, if it was during that time, I bet you did.
I did actually. Some of the best stuff was when Harlan Ellison would call, and I would get to talk to Harlan Ellison, and he would tell me to call him Uncle Harley. It was really cool, man. Like,
he liked you.
He did. He liked me. He was a
He
cool
told me I was stupid.
He told you you were stupid.
Well, first question I asked him during an interview, he said, well, first of all, that's a stupid question. And that video is on our YouTube channel, guys. You can research that when you're done here. Go see me getting reamed out by Harlan Ellison at a convention.
Uncle Harley liked me. He realized I was like a peon. Like at that place, I was answering the phones essentially in between doing my work while my boss was like sleeping in the other room because, believe it or not, Avatar is 3 people, or was at one time. It was William Christensen 20 years ago, Mark Seifert, and me. And we literally lived in a giant warehouse that had a sectioned off part that were offices. And I had my own apartment over there in Urbana. But they had a house. I'm serious. They had a whole house that they left empty. And they would literally stay there for a week at a time and then go home, do their laundry, shower, do everything they had to do, and then come back. And they did this every day. I mean, they were publishing 30 books at the time, if you recall. It was a lot.
Yeah.
They were, yeah. So it was a heavy workload. I worked 7 days a week. It was something that was taught me what I really needed to do in comics. Like, I needed to be an artist. I needed to separate myself from the idea of, like, I could do production and everything, but that was a grind. I was a creative, and in between my job as their production artist, essentially, that would fix all their problems and essentially get everything ready and letter all their books and make everything print ready, I would have to ink other people's projects in my spare time. So, like, when we got the Rob Liefeld Evangeline stuff, I had to ink like 16 pages of it. It was crazy, and I had to do that in my spare time on top of all my other duties. It was crazy, some of the stuff that was requested of me. I did make a lot of money while I was there for Urbana, Illinois, like where the average like person maybe got paid $15,000.
Right.
I was making like $38,000 and had like a condo. It was weird. It was weird for me. And that's not a lot of money. That's not here in California. That's nothing.
Yeah. my brother-in-law lives out in California, and we went to see him out in Riverside.
Right.
His family does very well. My wife undermarried.
Oh, it's
But,
okay. So did
he took
mine.
us out to he took us out to where the Top Gun house was that you see in the movie, where the motorcycle comes around the corner. And
Oh, nice.
we went to the beach, and there were like these, 14 by 70 trailers like I grew up in as a kid, just, on the side of hills. And he's like, yeah, that trailer over there, that's about a $2.5 million trailer right there. Just because of the location.
Yeah, it is. And that's what's funny. I live in Orange County. So I actually live with my wife and my children and my in-laws because they're elderly. And we had an addition, like an 800 square foot addition added to the house just so that we could stay here and take care of them because they're elderly. My mother-in-law has had 2 aneurysms and a stroke. So we wrangle her. And of course, my father-in-law is a wonderful guy, but he's older too. And it's hard to keep up with grandma. She's feisty. So
God bless you for taking on the family and taking care of your family instead of hoisting it off on, some unknown mom and nurse and stuff.
No, that's not fair to them. It's our jobs, unfortunately. Like in my head, it's my job, right?
Sure.
If my mother wants me to take care of her, I'll take care of her. If my father-in-law wants me to take care of him, I'll take care of him. It's okay. That's part of why we're here. So It teaches us stuff.
Take care of each other.
That's right. So hi, stream. I haven't said hi to them yet. Thank you for all being here. Hail all. I wanted to show anybody who backs during this live stream can get these pieces of art. We're going to be raffling these off tonight to lucky backers. And if we get a couple, I may even raffle off a casting of the head of Loki. So
that is
only
awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's a nice little piece. I enjoyed doing it.
How did I'm looking at that, and it's so smooth and shiny, and I'm like, okay, is that like literally chiseled and sculpted, or is that wireframe 3D print?
Oh no, it's wax. It's wax. It's called monster clay, and it's made out of wax, and it's shiny because after I've used a rake tool on it to kind of smooth it out, I usually take a blowtorch to it, and it liquefies the surface real quick and gives me that really shiny look. It's actually rougher than what you're seeing. Like you can see some of the roughness to it right there. See it?
Yeah. Does the blowtorching of it kind of give it a glazing to the surface?
It kind of makes it shiny. So inevitably, it's just meant to just smooth out some of the tool marks. When you're sculpting on something, you end up with tool marks. I'll show you an example real quick. Hold on. Let me see. Let me grab a tool. Here's the tool. So here's the base from the Loki sculpt. And the head sits right in here like this. So here's some tool marks I'm going to make. Here, let's look inside. You can already see that it's not even. It's kind of bumpy.
Yeah.
So I'll make some tool marks and try to like clean it up a little bit, straighten it out, get some of those bumps out.
Making him work right here on stream, folks.
No, it's okay. Anyways, you see all those tool marks now, right? That weren't there before. Those ridges and lines. Okay, let me see. Hey, babe, do you still have your little blowtorch? Can I borrow it for a second?
Yeah.
Okay, I have to go. My wife has to run outside and grab her little torch. And once she comes
I'm
back.
going to fill it up because it's empty.
Okay. It's going to take a second for her to fill it up.
I see you've got other sculptures and busts behind you there. Are those all Your sculptures, or are they purchases?
No, those are mostly mine. You want to see something?
Sure, bring them on.
Yeah, yeah. Hold on. Let's get something cool. Hold on. Give me a sec. Let's see. Here. Thank you. They want to see more sculptures. I'm gonna get more sculptures. Let's do start. Let's do this one. Let's do this one. I'm not gonna get too crazy. So there's quite a few sculptures back there.
Yeah, I see that. One of them looks like Freddy Krueger, that one way up high on the top there. I'm not.
Oh, it's William Burroughs is who it is.
Nice.
At some point, I'll bring him down and show you.
You don't have to reach all the way up there, man. You knock stuff over. I don't want you to do that.
Oh, it's not going to get knocked over. It's on a huge base. It's all good. I've been wanting to show it, man. I've just been looking for a reason. So
we're here.
I sculpt a lot of my stuff, and it helps me get kind of the flow of things. So, and this is Star. This is like a bust I did of her back a long time ago. But I used it as reference.
Yeah, she's a character in the book. That's perfect.
Yeah, she's my main character. But I do like to sculpt other things, but I do like to keep in the theme of post-apocalyptic stuff. So let's do Lord Humongous. How awesome is that? Like, look at how massive that guy is.
All the veins in his arms just sticking out.
It's really funny. I just realized recently that he's one of my friends on Facebook, the actor who plays him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, out of nowhere.
Nice.
Out of nowhere, I saw this rant on Facebook, and I went and I looked, and I was like, oh my God, that's the guy who played him. And then I looked at his profile, and he was already one of my friends. I had no idea. That blew my mind. So Lord Humongous is my friend. And anyways, I like doing portraits also of people. Can you tell me who this is?
The face is familiar, but I can't quite tell who it is. I want to say it's like almost like Kurt Russell, but
it's absolutely Kurt Russell from Death Proof. It's absolutely him. You nailed it. That's him.
Fantastic.
So it's little. It's like 1/6 scale. So doing this much detail on something that small, and it's kind of rough. I had just laid it in, and he has a bunch of scars on his face, and I never finished it. I always wanted to, though, but just never did. Let me go grab William real quick, and then I got to put these away. Hold on.
Sure. This is some very cool stuff here. And if anybody's new to the chat, Jason is giving away 2 sketches specifically to people in tonight's broadcast. If you go out and back his book, you are in the raffle for these 2 sketches. And if the sketches go away, I think there might be something else cool he showed up there. If he brings that head of Loki up again, he'll mention that. That is a very, very cool proof or mold he's doing. William Burroughs, The Naked Lunch.
So I'm a big fan of William Burroughs.
Mr. Naked Lunch himself.
Right. And I always have been. And I'd been thinking of doing a bust of him. And he has some really excellent pictures of himself online that show his side view and his front view. I actually did this several years ago. So the hat was probably the hardest part. I had to figure out how to make that hat. Yeah. And make it hollow enough so that that's aluminum foil to fit in there. And the brim is paper. I actually put clay over paper after I attached it. It's kind of funny.
I know somebody who takes scans of things like this and then is able to do 3D prints. Have you ever considered doing mass productions of some of your work here in a 3D print form?
I don't personally scan my sculptures. I can, and of course, I can use ZBrush and other 3D sculpting tools to sculpt stuff. And I have a 3D printer. I've sculpted stuff in programs and printed them out 3D. I actually have a piece right here. Let me grab it. So it's right here. So I do cast my stuff and sell it. I've done this for about 10 years. And I just recently went digital. So this is a rough print, actually. So I smoothed it out a bunch and kind of messed with it, and you can see on the back part of the print process that's so dirty and ugly. Sure. Like all this stuff over here. Sorry, right here. Anyways, I do all that stuff. I can make molds and cast things, and that's what I'm doing with this campaign. Everybody who buys that sculpture of Loki is getting a casting of my original piece.
Well, let's get in and talk about that comic then, because that is why, ostensibly why we're here, is to talk about Hammer. And for the folks in the chat, by the way, if you see the description of this video, the very first link you're going to see is to Jason's Indiegogo campaign, where you can click on there and go straight out and back Hammer. And we'll go over that and look at all the tiers in just a little bit here. But first, tell us about this main character, Star, who, as I'm understanding it, is a post-Ragnarok incarnation of Thor, or at least has the abilities of Thor at some point.
She's a ancestor of Heimdall, is what she really is. I don't fear like telling people a bit of the backstory, because you'll find that stuff out later on. But these are usually so small that most people aren't too worried about it. So she is essentially related to Heimdall. She's part giant, and that is how she's able to wield the hammer. But she was born on Earth. So yes, she's a Thor. She's taken up she's less than Thor, but she could take his place. Like, let's just say, Thor's dead in my universe currently. And
that's Ragnarok. That was the whole, from my studies in classical mythology, what made the Norse gods unique was that they were not immortal. They had a death date on them.
That's right. And Thor died while battling the Midgard serpent. And in my book, it's very much the same. He dies while fighting the Midgard serpent. And as he's dying, his father comes to his side and takes Mjolnir. And he then goes to attack Fenris Wolf with Mjolnir. And as he's fighting Fenris Wolf, and as he's about to defeat him, Hel shows up and intervenes. And Odin is cast into the abyss, and Fenrir, Hel's brother, has his head removed and tossed into the abyss along with his body, which eventually lands on Midgard.
Yeah, it's like the Legion of Doom for the Norse gods. All the bad guys come together at one time.
It's pretty crazy. Loki is ever the trickster, and you'll find out more about him. There's a few things about him. He's a trickster for sure. So you're going to be really interested in how he uses technology on top of Asgardian magic.
All right. Do you want to show us some of the pages for this, or?
I can. I would have to pull that up real quick. Give me a second.
Absolutely.
I usually don't share stuff, but I'm going to bring up the actual, some of the raw pages, some of the stuff I've
And this is going to be a black and white book too, as I understand it, right? You're not doing the coloring on this? I mean, I'm just guessing from the pictures I've seen.
That is correct. It is a black and white book. I am considering coloring it after the fact. And, but it'll be once I see how everything goes.
All right.
Hold on one second. Let me get there. Open that. I can flip back to you. I have to go share screen. Yes. Select the screen. Right there. Oops, hold on. Right here. Sorry. Don't say allow. Ooh, why did this pop up? Sorry. I thought I had opened it up in another one. Let me close it. Let me try this one more time.
Okay. I removed whatever came in case it wasn't what you were wanting people to see.
That's fine. Oh,
Bab
I
has
can
a
do it.
question in the stream.
Okay, what's the question?
Is there any way to get entered for the giveaway if I've already backed his comic? Back it again. That would be my first answer.
Yeah, currently back it again at 8K. We're getting everybody patches, embroidered patches, and that should make everybody very happy. So is that working when I show the entire screen? Hold on. Let me say allow, and then let me do this.
Okay.
Is that working now?
I've got a screen here to share. I'm going to go ahead and give it the full size too.
Okay.
People can get the maximum exposure of it.
So I designed.
She's looking badass there.
I designed most of this. I drew it by hand and then scanned my pencils into Photoshop, and then I inked it digitally. I really enjoyed that inking process, by the way. Like it's so much better to ink digitally, and if I have to make something smaller, if I have to move it to fix the proportions, if I have to do anything, it's just amazing.
Yeah. I think penciling by hand also gives things a more organic look to them.
I agree. So I originally was going to kind of color the book, and this was me messing around, seeing what I could do to make it unique. Why I didn't color the book is because I felt that I didn't want to look like everybody else. Like, that's what I've noticed now. If a colorist colors a book, they all look the same. They all get drowned into the same type of color theory. And I'm not interested in that. And I want to make something better. And I started thinking to myself, I should just showcase my inks. This is the Joe Benitez cover in the Levisay inks. Yeah, I love that piece. It's beautiful. Joe. Oh, he did such a great job. And here's the colored version of that. And I colored it. Believe it or not, I have pretty decent color theory on top of everything else I can do. I enjoy coloring. I like making stuff look like my art. Oops, sorry. Let me open that up again. Maximize. So I really enjoyed it. I even designed the logo.
Yeah, I like that logo. Now that's very Nordic. It was. Let me tell you, that was a lot of fun. By the way, this afternoon to reverse the colors on those so that it would show up on the chat here or on the screen.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry.
It was cool.
Do you have fun?
I had to remember to use a third color for the background so I can say, okay, black becomes red, red becomes white, and white becomes black, and then clear out the red is clear and go with that.
Right. Absolutely. Like, I didn't mean to make it complicated for everybody, but it did. It's kind of like my branding, though. When everybody sees it, they know it's me.
Yeah.
And that's what I kind of had to do. It's like in the vein of like a death metal band that just has a bunch of squiggly lines for their name. That's kind of short of having a bunch of squiggly lines. I tried to stay in the runic alphabet somewhat, at least make it legible. This is the first page of Hammer, and I really enjoyed doing it. Like, it's physically drawn, and then I went in and inked most of it before I scanned it. And then I came in and did some digital work to it. Same thing with this page. It's 95% hand-drawn and inked.
Beautiful.
Let's keep going.
It looks, it's hard to remember that it's actually in the future because this is post Ragnarok. And well, I don't know. Now that's a good question. Is your Ragnarok in our past or is it in our future relative to current timeline?
So it would be in our future.
Okay.
So what happens is the fall of man happens first. And then Ragnarok happens. The fall of man, it just starts crumbling essentially from I actually show more of that stuff later on, but it happens from a weird event where a hacker group by the name of Attrition starts to hack into government Apega robots, which are the Dragar.
Okay.
And they don't look like that. This is 1,000 years after this happens. But let's just say the war happened today. This would be 200 years in the future from now. And then Ragnarok happens, I don't know, 800 years after that. So I start
way out there.
Yeah, it's way out there. We're 1,000 years in the future by the time you get to my book. Doomsday Bunker, like under Colorado exists, like the Colorado airport. Like things from our past exist. But there was a rapid decline in what happened after this group got a hold of these military robots and essentially started killing off world leaders and brought everything into chaos. They broke the moon. And a lot of people now think that the moon, the pieces of the moon that have now become a ring around our world, was the Asgard serpent. They think it's the world snake. So it just lends itself to this.
Yeah.
And the environment's different. Even though the moon isn't what it is, it doesn't affect the title stuff the way it used to. It even if I broke the moon, I had to work out the idea that what would happen if you put a ring around something and that that planet spins, right?
Yeah.
So on with the moon, we know that it pulls on the ocean through gravitational pull, right? When it's whole. But if you made it a ring, would it still do that?
It would have a
Right?
constant pull in all directions.
Right, it might, or it might have a flow because it's pulling from around where it is, right? So everything would come out from it in a circular motion like the equator would. Like, think of it as like having a line drawn around the earth and everything coming out from that, as opposed to a ball that's pulling on the ocean, creating tidal waves or tidal surges, right? So you could still have an ocean, you could still have waves, you could still have those things. And I believe that it wouldn't entirely kill life on Earth. So I had to kind of figure that out first before I even considered it, right? Like,
As long
if
as
I'm
none of those moon pieces did like they did in the first season of the Umbrella Academy and hit the Earth, in which case it does a lot of damage.
Right, it could. And because it is what, 1/3 the size of the Earth. Luckily it was far enough away and it just created a ring. And I I didn't even know that with the Umbrella Academy. Really?
Yeah,
Shit.
that was the doomsday that they were trying to avoid. They just put second season out, so this is not a spoiler for anybody if they haven't watched it yet. They spend the entire first season trying to avoid a doomsday that they don't know what it is, and when it comes down to it, it's one of their own who accidentally freaks out, lashes out with power, and
breaks the moon,
hits the moon, and a big chunk of it comes hurtling towards the Earth, and there's doomsday.
Oh Jesus! Yeah. Mine happens as a sheer act against the government, is what it is. The world is actually the world government at that point. But that being said, we don't really talk about that. We're seeing 1,000 years in the future. We may hint on it in the second issue, but it's from robots that are old, like really, really old robots that are telling what used to happen before now. Okay. Anyways, here's my pencils. Sometimes I don't render things completely. I just kind of go with it and kind of just try to work out the pace of stuff and see what works for me.
Right.
And then I ink it afterwards. And here's like my pencils laid in with my inks, which is something you're not going to get to see a lot. So I may not draw something completely like this character over here because I know it's small and the shapes that are going to be cast in it. Let's see.
So you just do those straight with ink or just leave them out?
I do. I just draw straight in ink. I do. Because I'm inking digitally, I can change stuff really easily. So I just kind of throw it and make it go. So sometimes I don't render stuff out completely unless I really get like super hyped about something, right?
Sure.
So let's see. Let me go to.
We talked earlier. You did about everything you did artwork wise. This is your baby entirely. Is this the first time you actually handled the writing on a comic?
No. I wrote when I worked at Avatar. I wrote several stories and drew a few and inked a few pieces for Threshold and some other stuff. I came up with concepts. We even not owned, but we had licensed Razor back then, and Everett Hartsoe's Razor. And I had pitched doing a futuristic version of her. And I had started drawing that when it was probably a couple months later, I ended up leaving and coming back to California to do stuff here. So it never went to fruition after that. But I seldomly worked on other people's projects and wrote them and moved forward with them in some way, shape, or form. Whether they were printed or not is another story.
Okay.
So it's not my first rodeo. Hold on, let me go back here. This is a good page. I like this one.
I love lettered effects that also have pictures in them, and God, that expression on her face. So many crowdfunded comics, especially indie comics, you have people with these flat faces that just can't capture an emotion quite. They're working on it. They're people who are still amateurs and getting around to it, but
yeah, it's all about the quality, man. I've been drawn for my whole life. So anything I can't draw, I sculpt or get reference for. And, I work it out. That's how you do it. That's, what do they call this? A onomatopoeia or whatever they call it.
Oh, onomatopoeia is when the word is what it sounds
right.
like.
Onomatopoeia.
The lettering that's actually the panels. That's gorgeous. That's a great effect.
And imagine it just saying, and Odin spoke right above it, and boom. that whole place was leveled instantaneously. That's how badass she is. That's how badass Odin is, I guess. Here's the hammer. There is some. Thank you. I thought I'd make it look more like a traditional hammer. More like a traditional Viking warhammer. It wouldn't have a head that was separated like that, but because nobody can break it, it does. So yeah. I had to lend some shape to it.
Cast with dwarves, it's not going to break.
Right. It's badass. And I gave it a regular sized handle, but I guess if you were a giant, that would be a small handle.
This is true. It'd just be like a carpenter's hammer for a giant.
Right.
Citizen Hells, nice to see you in the chat. Reminding everybody here that the link for Hammer is in the description below. Anybody who backs it tonight while we're on stream, Jason has 2 sketches that we'll be giving away in a raffle to those who have backed it during the stream.
So you can see how pretty it is. I spent a lot of time inking. It would be like it'd be gilding a lily, so to speak. I could never say that in one sentence. Gilding a lily to color this, and I just think it needs to sit on its own as a black and white piece, and it kind of lends itself to that Ragnarok outlaw comic type situation.
Well, it's a dirty setting, and coloring it almost cleans it up.
Right. Here, let's see how beautiful she is.
Man, I love that. The way you can just create the effect of light on the face just using blacks and whites.
It's major contrast. Like I really enjoyed that piece, especially if the background's busy. You don't have to do anything to her face. You could just leave it like that. It just makes it pretty. Let's go to this. Nice. So this is Gasser. This is one of my acolytes of Loki. He's the main guy who essentially reports back to Loki. And what you see here is my roughs. You don't get to see the finish roughs that are in between before I ink it and make it look like this. So there's a second step in between this that you're not seeing because when I saved it, it didn't save with that layer.
This because this is the start where it's stick figures. I can draw stick figures. That gives me hope. I just need to make those next evolutionary steps.
Right. It's a really easy panel. It's like a 3-beat panel. So we're talking. People are around the hammer. You can see there's a couple guys in the back. And they're talking to somebody over here, and that's Loki in the background, like our bad guy. This is going to be like the first time you see him, essentially. And then something happens. They get zapped by the hammer, and of course, my guy ends up looking over at what they're doing and essentially just being like, "You're morons." And I really enjoyed doing this. I really like this character too, because you don't know if they're male or female. You don't know anything. They're just
completely covered.
It's so cool. And she remains that way for almost the entirety of the series. So let's see. Here's some of my pencils. There's something you don't get to see a bunch of. I really love inking digitally, and I'll tell you why. Because if you look at this drawing, you can tell that her waist is too long.
Sure. Yeah, I can get that.
Right. It's a good drawing, though. We can attribute that to style or whatever. And if it were inked up, most people wouldn't argue about it, right? They would just be like, that's pretty cool. It bugs the crap out of me.
Yeah.
That it's not right.
I get that. I've got original pieces here that, people have drawn, and I look at it, I'm like, I know that's heroic proportions, but why is her neck the same height as her head? It was
right.
90s style, and I couldn't stand it. The giraffe-necked women.
So I know that I have to fix this while I'm doing it, right? So for the most part, I have to ink her upper body, which you've seen, and then I'll actually like crop part of this image and drag it up and ink over the top of that, and it should look fine when I'm done.
Cool.
And that makes it easy, right? So I don't have to do it physically on the page. I can just do it on the computer. I can literally cut out like this section right here and move it up. And then work out the belly button, stuff like that.
Right. Yeah,
and if there's a problem, I can erase it and retry it. That's the best thing about digitally inking something. I'm not worried about destroying the original.
This is true. Now, is this a scene from the book, or is this just a piece you were working on, a character piece?
Oh, this is a scene from the book.
All right.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Now, what gave you the inspiration to go with a Nordic story like this? I mean, you've been in all kinds of genres with the work you've done, so.
Right. I found I kind of had an infatuation ever since that Thor movie that Kenneth Branagh did. Like, it was just goofy enough for me to really kind of run with it. And then once Ragnarok, Taika Waititi did that, the Marvel stuff, I was like, oh man, I love this character so much, and I love that hammer, but I know I'm not going to be able to ever draw it. Like, and they're going to want me to do their stuff. It's time that I did my stuff. And
right.
Nordic gods, like in the Mad Max world, are all they're there already. They talk about them, like to Valhalla. What the hell is that shit? Like, where's that all shiny and chrome? Like, how that stuff is straight Viking stuff. So it lends itself to that, but they're never going to do it. Like, we're never going to see Mad Max fight like an Asgardian god. So I just blended those two things together and started to run with it. And I noticed that everything I do, like I design and stuff, it has a certain post-apocalyptic thing to it. Like, it's dirty and it's go away. That thing keeps, stop it.
Optimize.
Yeah, optimize, you bastard PC.
This is nice. This is like Scratchboard.
Right. the gentleman who approached me, Jason Lennox, this was the quick sketch I actually sent him. He had sent me, let me go see if I can find the original. Give me a second. Is it here? Yes. Okay.
A lot of this also reminds me of a canticle for Leibowitz, as far as that far future, but loss of technology kind of thing.
Nice. Yeah, I'm kind of feeling that whole idea. So this is me working over another artist. This is Jason Lennox drew this originally, and it was a really open piece when he sent it to me. Like, you can see some of his drawing underneath there. And I readjusted some of it and redrew things, but it was a really open drawing, and I felt that it needed to be inked so it matched my book. So I started inking it to match what my book looks like. I changed his Odin a little, but it's mostly his piece. We talked about it before we did it, and I'm enjoying doing it. I told him I wanted to turn his piece of art into like a doré, like wood sculpture. Exactly what you were talking about, a wood block print. I wanted to make it pretty, super pretty. And I scribbled this out and sent it to him real quick. And I was like, I want to do this to it, but nice. And he was like, go crazy, man.
I love that 8-legged horse concept too. Is that Nordic?
That is Norse mythology. Odin rides an 8-legged horse. He does.
I did not know that. My Norse mythology is vast but shallow. So it's like I don't know what happened to Vili and Ve.
Right.
Right. Odin's brothers.
Right. Or the 9 mothers, or the 9 mothers of Heimdall, or what happened to, or Balter. You know what happened to Balter. You should know what happened to Balter. The guy's missing a hand, for Christ's sakes.
Well, I've got several other myths about Balder. One of them, he becomes Santa Claus, and then the other one, he becomes he's a protagonist in a Neil Gaiman story.
Right. And remember, he also put his hand in the mouth of Fenrir as they put shackles on him, and when he couldn't break the shackles, he took Balder's hand.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I remember that part of it, but I don't know what
so
happened
it's
after, if anything.
Oh, yeah. You'll find out. So we'll get into all that stuff eventually. Like, this is 10 issues worked out right now, but it's essentially one story arc that goes over 10 issues. But it can go on after that. And also, I'm adding hold on. Other art. Here we go. I'm adding a Kirby-esque 70s Silver Age type Kirby thing going on in a 6-page story at the end of every single story that I do. So not only do you get this post-apocalyptic story, you also get to see what happens once she transcends to God, like status, and goes on real adventures as a cosmic Asgardian, set to a 70s type of style.
Very nice. That looks like what if Jack Kirby drew for 2001 AD or 2000 AD.
Wouldn't that be frickin' dope?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's very cool. BAP2 in the chat just says, on contribution number 112 if you need that for the raffle. So.
Oh, you're the man. Let's see. I need to check this out. So I don't know
let's check it out.
Let's check it out.
Give me.
Hold on. Let me see. Let me close this. Do I have to look, or do you? I have to, huh?
You have to.
Give me 1 second then.
Technically, I can share screens too, but we don't want to do that. And as the saying goes, this better not be porn.
Okay. I think last time I had to do was sign in and see.
I'll tell you what, if you got to sign in,
Actually,
I'm going to do
hold on.
this. And that way, your screen is off the screen.
That's fine. Give me one sec. See, I think I did it under a different browser originally.
Ah.
So now, and that's kind of crappy because.
Yeah, I got used to the two browsers I had, and then Microsoft shoved a third one out at me and said, "Here, use this." I'm like, I don't want to use that. Yeah, Bap, I agree. That helmet did remind me of an old school Judge Dredd helmet. That's why I said it was like Kirby drawn for 2000 AD. Which technically should be AD 2000 because that's how it's properly said, but that's not how they made the comic.
So we're at 7,832 currently. You should be able to share my stuff now.
I've got it back up here.
Okay. I don't think we've gotten anything during the live stream. Let me look.
Oh, goodness.
Nope, we haven't gotten anything yet during the live stream.
Okay, so no new backers yet during the live stream. If you're in the chat and you haven't backed, you can really increase your odds of winning this raffle here by getting in, because you might be only one or two. You backed it yesterday. See, that's a different raffle. That'd be a different.
That's true. If you did purchase before the raffle, know that I am going to throw special art in with other people's stuff too. I'm definitely taking care of everybody. Currently, I have 108 backers. I could take care of 108 people. That's not hard for me to do. My ultimate goal is to get up to the $15,000 mark so that we can get a Glenn Fabry cover. So I've been, yeah. If we can get to, I'm friends with Glenn Fabry. He's going to do me a cover. I'll give everybody an extra book, a free book. If we can get to the 15K mark in the next 23 days, my officially, I think my campaign is kind of stalled out a bit. And
is this your first crowdfund?
It is.
That's typical. First 2 days is like this huge spike, and then it just kind of plateaus, and then your last week is like people are seeing what the stretch goals are going to be, and if they reach the stretch goals,
right,
and then they all try to pile in at the last minute.
This is actually my second 30 days, though, so it's my first run, but my second 30 days. We made it 5 days before the campaign ended to full funding. But that being said, I mean, Glenn Fabry wants to do this cover. I want to pay him. So I'll give everybody a comic. We need to start getting some more stuff out there. So absolutely. I've been pimping this, I guess, for the last 40 days. And I've learned a lot. It's an amazing process. I like being able to get in touch with my fans. I like being able to show them art. So let's look at some of this art. This is what she's going to page. This is the crowdfunding page currently. This was that Kirby-esque version of her I was talking about, that there's going to be 6 pages added to my 28-page story that talks about her in a cosmic fashion, where she's doing cosmic adventures and very 70s. And we're doing that for all 10 issues. So there'll be 6 pages added to every issue that has this story in it. Let's see what else. We have tons of cool pinups that are coming. We've done the story, so let's go this way. Let's look at our perks. So, yes. Line art edition, it's signed. 16 have been claimed. Every one of them is signed. It's completely black and white cover. And you get my eternal gratitude. You also get a print of that Asgardian piece that I did of that was so Kirby-esque that you liked so much if Kirby was to draw that. You get that as a card. And you also get a Mark Beecham print that's 8x10.
Sweet.
Yeah. So the second edition comes with those things also. But instead of my line art edition, it comes with this cool Benitez cover, which is signed by Benitez and Levisay and by me. So
Now that's a color cover.
That is a color cover. I colored it, so I'm going to sign it. There's a bundle package that comes with both. And, of course, you get the Mark Beecham 8x10, and you get the Star of Asgard card. If I were to have a featured perk, I would say it's the Head of Loki perk, because you get both comics signed. You get that Mark Beecham. You get that as that futuristic version of Star of Asgard. And you get that really, really cool Head of Loki with that base. And it'll come as a resin casting. It'll probably be gray. I can color them with the resin I use. So I can dye them before I even pour them. And they can be gray. And all you need to do is just clean them up a little bit. And if you wanted to paint it, you could. You could put some primer on it and just paint it.
12 out of 30 of those have been claimed already, so that's a popular one.
That's right. It is a popular one. People like it a lot. So the art edition comes with a piece of art that I draw by hand, 8x10, and will ink it and hook you up with a beautiful piece of art. You also get 2 signed comics, and those prints come with it also. The Dragar edition. So these have been pretty popular. I hand make these robots, and they are kit bashed over Sculpey bodies that I cook, or epoxy clay bodies, and I build them all unique, one of a kind, paint them, and then I photograph them and use them as the robots in my book.
That's insane.
I enjoy them. They're really cool. They sell well. I sold 5 of them. I have to make. They're all unique, so they're all different, and they're all hand painted by me. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's really relaxing to do. Let's see what it comes with. So it comes with the Benitez and Levisay signed edition, the Crager art edition, and you get a limited number of sculptures. I'm only offering 8 in all. So it's 1 through 8, and I will ship it to wherever you are in the world. And plus you get that not Benitez, you get the Mark Beecham piece, and you get that card. And then I just added this on the
one before.
Right. It sure does. As I was doing this, this was added after the first 30 days. This is the new Super Dragar Edition kit. This is a full body kit that is casted completely. I'm only offering 5 of them. They come with the Head of Loki resin casting also, an 8x10 piece of art original sketch, and both those comic books signed also for $800. Shipped to you, limited to 5. And that's nobody's picked it yet because it's new. I realize it's quite a bunch of money. A lot of people don't want to paint stuff. I get it. If they want me to paint it for them, all they have to do is let me know, and I'll do it. I don't have to charge them anything. I'll just do it.
Oh, nice.
So that's, make them happy.
Yeah.
And then the last one. This is the original Benitez cover with the Levisay inks. It comes with 2 comics. It comes with a sketch It comes with the Loki resin casting also, and the Super Dragar Blood Edition, Snowblood Edition. So I will make you one of those Snowblood editions if you purchase this $2,500 piece of original art, and I will send it to you with all those extra perks. The cover is probably worth $5,000. Like, he gets that kind of money for his work. It's worth it.
That's what I tell a lot of the crowdfunders who are not they're as experienced as you are here, that if people are backing somebody and somebody's making a crowdfund that says, I need 5,000 to make this happen. It's like, if he's the writer, guaranteed he's 5,000 in the hole already just for the cover that he had to do. He's just trying to break even.
So it looks like we got some new contributions.
Oh, well, good. Somebody
That's
may have
excellent.
been number 116.
There is 116 and 117.
That's two. That's
that
two.
is.
How many pieces of artwork did you have there?
2 currently. So that gets us ever closer to our goal. Let's see. Let's go to the top and refresh. Let's see what happens. Did it not refresh? Oh, do I have to press a button?
I think you might have to refresh.
I do. I have to press a button. You're press the button. That's right. So we're at $7,917. We're so close to getting everybody hammer embroidered patches. We're like, oh my God, $83 away from 8,000. Yeah.
$83 and we get the embroidered patches. Do you have a prototype of those?
I don't yet, but it's going to look like the hammer logo that you see. Let me show you. Hold on. So I clipped it right out of this piece of art right here. So it has that big calendar in the background, the Viking calendar.
Right.
And then it has the white embroidery with the black and the white. So let's look at that closer.
Citizen Hill says, I have no knowledge of this contribution if my wife asks.
Oh, absolutely. I understand. So I cropped it right out of this image to make the actual embroidered patches out of it.
Got it. Very cool.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really sharp looking. I'm really happy to actually do it. If we get to $10,000, I'll get everybody 11x17 Joe Benitez color cover poster at $10,000.
We got to do that.
Oh, I would like to get to 15. As I said, if we can get to 15 in the next 23 days, I keep putting the word out there. I'm talking to Fraga, Dan Fraga. We just keep pushing, he's been helping me a little bit, but short of that, I realized that I wasn't going to do like $40,000 out of the gate. I knew this was going to be an uphill struggle. And I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with not making any money and giving everybody perks at the end, because at least I got to draw my comic.
Right. Now, you've said this is going to be like 10 issue stories. If I got that number remembered correctly, it's like 10 issues to do this whole saga?
Correct.
Are you concerned about, and this is something I brought up at the beginning of crowdfunding when it was in its infancy, how to maintain a schedule, a distribution schedule for an ongoing series. A graphic novel is one thing, but if you get your basic 22, 28 page comic book and you have to wait another 2 years for the next issue, it kind of loses momentum.
No, you're not going to wait 2 years. You'll wait maybe a couple months. Like, that's it. I'm not concerned. Oh, of course. Good. So absolutely. I'm a production artist. Before I started doing this, I had already drawn 6 issues for some other person. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I wish that everybody did that with a miniseries. Have it drawn before the first issue comes out, so they don't get canceled midstream all the time.
Right. So I'm a little far enough ahead that I'm not too worried. I think the biggest thing I'm concerned with is me making a living wage off this eventually. So right now, with all the perks and all the people I've worked with and everything else, and printing and shipping and everything else, it's only like $2,000 maybe, and taxes. I got to pay taxes.
Oh yeah.
So, like, yeah, this is a piss in the bucket, right? So, I think I realize I do this for the love of it. I got to build this up on my own. And in doing so, I'll have a property that I can sell eventually and maintain. And there's a lot of stuff I can do with it.
Absolutely.
So I'm not.
It look great on the big screen.
Absolutely. I would love to see somebody like Zazie Beetz or Rosario Dawson play her. Absolutely.
I can see that. Yeah.
It'd be so awesome.
Well, we have gone a little bit over an hour, which is just about, as often as as far as I take them, unless we, have a lot to do with, a lot more to talk about. Before we go, I want to remind everybody watching the replay or still in the chat, the first link below is to this campaign. So get out there and back hammer, get yourself in there. Also, we have these nifty little 3-inch stickers here that we are just giving away with our little logo on it. If you would like to get one of those, just send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Critical Blast at 1097 Prestwick Drive, Belleville, Illinois 62221, and we will be happy to slip one, probably two, so you can give one to your friend into the envelope and mail it back to you.
So I believe we're ending with 2 backers. So, and one of you or 2 of you get either one of these. So I won't let you pick. I'm just going to throw one in to whomever's order. So 116 and 117.
116 and 117. You guys will get a little something extra in your package when it arrives to you.
That's correct. 116 and 117 get absolutely these little postcards. They're hand painted. I did them both today before I even started this cast. Like I took out an hour and just kind of painted them up for everybody. You're welcome. Thank you.
Well, Jason, I appreciate you coming on the show tonight. And for the incentive to our viewers here to get them all to participate, glad we were able to get a couple of more backers onto the project there. I always feel like I've done my job if I get somebody back.
Definitely.
The only reason I'm here. Since
Yeah.
I don't have any projects of my own and I can't draw worth a lick, I just write. And someday
Well, I
I'll find an
appreciate
artist dumb enough to partner with me.
I appreciate that you actually reached out to me. So
Glad
it was fun. So I appreciate it. I can gab on forever. So I'm going to let you go though, because
well, we look forward to chatting with you when issue 2 is ready to go.
Excellent.